At this point, I just start screaming. I didn't know what else to do. I'm just like, somebody please help. Oh, shoot. Somebody please help. Help, help, help. By the time... Hello, you guys. My name is Aja, and this is Sanaya, and welcome to my channel. Okay, so you guys, today I'm getting ready to tell you about how I almost died, you guys, giving birth to my baby girl right here. So she's our youngest. She's 8 months old, and we moved to Hawaii when I was 8 months pregnant. Imagine that, okay? So I was cleared to PCS. We moved here from Virginia. So it was a long, crazy, uncomfortable ride, okay? So the thing is that me and my husband, we were on separate orders. So he went first. So I had no help. I had two of the kids with me, and you know, they were doing as best as they can, but they couldn't help me, you know. So I was just wobbling through that airport. And finally, one of the workers that was there was like, do you need a wheelchair? You know, and I'm like, yes, please give me a wheelchair. So they wheeled me all the way to our flight. So flight was long. We ended up having to do a layover in Washington, you guys. So it was crazy. So when we got here, so long story short, we got to Hawaii, but we were living in a hotel, you guys. So when anybody in the military PCS to a different duty station, sometimes housing is not available right away, okay? So we had to stay at a hotel, and for us, we stayed in the hotel for almost 2 months. It was crazy, okay? So the good thing is we had 2 connecting rooms. So we were comfortable for the most part, but I was just uncomfortable because I was about to have a baby. So between that week, I was like, I'm about to have this baby today. You know, I'm going to have her today. And then my husband kept saying, you better stop playing, right? So I was like, for real, I was dancing, and I was like, yeah, we about to have this baby. But she didn't come. So the day before she came, I was like, okay, I'm about to have this baby. Like, I can't hold it no more. You know, like, I'm having contractions and everything. So we went to the maternity ward, and, you know, they checked me and everything, and I hadn't dilated or whatever. So they're just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to send you home. And if you start, you know, having contractions again, you know, come back, because we were like really close at the due date at that point. So I was like, man, so he rolled me in the wheelchair all the way back to the car, and he's like, okay. So that night, I was just so uncomfortable. I was like, oh my God. I didn't feel like I was in labor. I wasn't like cramping or, you know, having any contractions or anything like that. So where are you going, Mama? So to make a long story short, in the morning time, he ended up going to work, and I called him about, I don't know, I guess it was about 10 o'clock. I called him and I was like, hey, baby, I think I'm in labor. I think I'm finally in labor, because I was having like some very light menstrual cramps. And he was like, stop playing. You're not in labor. You just want me to, you know, come home because you just want me to rub on you and stuff. And I was like, no, I promise that's not what it is. I really think that I am in labor. He was like, I'm going to be there when I can because I don't think you're in labor. I was like, for real. So this is a prime example why you can't be playing with people. Because when it's true, they don't believe you. So, oh my God. So I really was in labor, but I guess I wasn't in that like crazy intense labor, because in my prior 3 pregnancies, my first one, I had an induction. So I was in the hospital. It was scheduled. I was in the hospital for like a day before I even started to even, start happening. And then my second one, she just came. Like, I just kind of went into labor at home, and then she just came, I made it to the hospital just enough time to get an epidural, and here she was into the world. So my third one was an induction as well. So that was scheduled. So I was expecting that. So this time, man. So I ended up calling him again around like 2:00. And I'm like, I am in labor. Like, please come home. So he was like, okay, I'm finishing up something, because once I had the baby, he wasn't going to go back to work. So he had to finish up everything he was doing and stuff. So I was like, finish up what you got going on. I need to go to the hospital, right? I need to go to the hospital. So, oh man, this man did not show up until about 4:00. Okay. So by that time, I was having contractions that were about 10 minutes apart. Okay. So it would just be intense, and then I would be able to release it. It was crazy. Yeah. So he was like, okay, we got to get the other kids together. I got to take them to the grocery store, and we got to make sure they got everything because we won't be here for a couple of days. I was like, wait a minute. Like, my sister is here. She can deal with all of that. He was like, no, let me just go to the store. I'll be right back. I'll get us some stuff for the hospital. So I was like, okay, because when we had our previous baby, we were starving in the hospital. And, you can only eat during the times when their cafeteria is open. And he didn't want to leave me, so we both was just starving, okay? So I understood. So I was like, okay, go to the store. It took him all of like 1 hour to get to the store, get everything, and come back. By that time, my contractions are about 6 minutes apart, okay? So I am in the bathroom about to have her on the floor. You sleepy, mama? You sleepy? And I am just like, oh my God. Like, I have a high tolerance for pain. So nobody really understood what was happening. They was like, okay, maybe you are, into labor, but you're not like about to have the baby yet, and I had played around so much. So to make a long story short, when he got there, I was like, if you do not take me to this hospital, right? And he was like, I'm gonna make us sandwiches. I need to make us some sandwiches. Don't you want sandwiches? I was like, F a sandwich. I'm ready to go now, right? I'm ready to go. I start wobbling to that car. I'm about to drive myself. He come running out the hotel room with all the little sandwich stuff. And then we get in the car. I'm like, please, I'm about to have this baby. At this point, my contractions are about 3 minutes apart, okay? So I'm going through it. I have never experienced anything so terrifying in my life, you guys. I thought I was going to die because it was so painful. Like, I can't even describe it. You know how when you go to the hospital and they say 1 to 10, I was like at a 20. I was like, oh my goodness, okay? So we got in the car and he's like, baby. I was like, just take me, please. He was like, we ain't got no gas. He was like, we ain't got no gas. I was like, oh God. So I'm just crying. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy, right? So, oh my God, y'all. We get to that gas station. He's out there pumping gas. He runs in the store. I was like, why is this man running in the store? I don't know. He came out with all of my little favorite snacks, drinks, candy, and stuff. And I was like, I don't want none of that. Please take me to... Oh my God, the people that was there pumping gas too, they came to the door. They like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm in labor. And they like, okay, do we need to call the ambulance? I'm like, we on our way to the hospital now. So he gets to the car. We get to zooming. We make it to the freeway. We doing at least 120 on that thing. And we had rented like a Jeep, right? Them new Jeeps, okay? I'm going to put it up here. Because them new Jeeps, it was like a NASCAR race car, okay? We was like, zzz, he had the hazards on. People was flagging us down like, hey, your hazards is on, your hazards is on. And I was just got out the window like, I'm in labor. I mean, this was like a movie, okay? So here he comes, trying to be nice, trying to feel on me. I'm like, please. I'm just swatting his head like, please, leave me alone. Get me to this hospital, okay? So we get to the hospital. There are no wheelchairs, and I cannot walk at this point. Well, I couldn't walk anyways for a couple of weeks prior to the birth, but I really couldn't walk then. So we go around the bend and we go to the emergency room. So he stops in front of the emergency room, just put the hazards on, or leave the hazards on, and he runs in there and gets a wheelchair. So he comes back out and he puts me in a wheelchair, and then he's about to start pushing me, and then he was like, hold up, I gotta go park the car. I was like, take me inside. Take me inside. I'm about to have this baby right now. So at that point, I was in a contraction at that point. It was crazy, right? So he was like, forget it. The car was parked right there. The door was open, y'all. He ran to push me into that place. He started pushing me down the hallway. All of a sudden, I start throwing up everywhere, y'all. Like I don't know where that came from, but I was in so much pain. I was throwing up everywhere. So I look back at him and I'm like, now do you believe that I'm in labor? Like, do you believe now? He was like, I'm sorry. So then he starts pushing me. We get lost. We can't even find the place because we never had entered the hospital from that way. So we trying to read the signs. We like, oh God. I was like, oh shoot, I'm about to have this baby on the floor. All of a sudden, we found the elevator. We stopped at the elevator. My water broke everywhere. All over the floor. It was gush everywhere. If you've ever had your water break or seen somebody's water break, it is completely disgusting. It is water, juice, nastiness everywhere, you guys. And it wasn't nothing I could do. So I'm still throwing up. Water done broke. I mean, it was crazy. So at this point, I just start screaming. I didn't know what else to do. I'm just like, somebody please help. Oh shoot. Somebody please help. By the time we got to the floor we were supposed to go on, the doctors had already been alerted that I was coming through. So they literally was running. You would have thought that I had been shot or something, you know, like emergency like that coming through. Like everybody was just running from every hallway to get to me. Finally, they picked me up and they put me in a triage, you know, where you get your blood pressure and all of that. And they like, look, calm down. I'm screaming. I'm like, please help me. Please. I'm in so much pain. Please give me an epidural. Please. I need some pain medication. I don't know what to do. I was just talking, just going crazy. All of a sudden, I was in, my pain had amplified. So I couldn't even talk no more. I was just screaming at that point. And it was like, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 people in there. And it wasn't even the doctors. It was one doctor and the rest of them was people that like worked in the front. And they was like, listen, you gonna have to calm down because we gotta check you. We gotta see how far you dilated. I was like, okay. So I was able to calm myself down and they checked me and I was 10 centimeters. They was like, it's too late for an epidural. We don't have no time. It's time for you to push, okay? She's already through the birth canal, okay? So let's go. I was like, wait a minute, wait. Oh, I couldn't believe that this was happening, okay, y'all? So I was like, okay. And they was like, breathe. Some lady that I don't even think she worked at the hospital. She was just a random lady that was there, okay? She had my one arm and she was like, breathe. I'm going to need you to breathe. I need you to take a deep breath. So I started taking deep breaths and I was able to calm down. And they was like, I need you to push. So I just pushed as hard as I can, like I needed to use the bathroom, y'all. Push, okay. And they was like, okay, her head is out. We need one more good push. Come on. And I was like, and I was in so much pain, y'all. And all of a sudden, I heard my baby crying. I heard her crying, y'all. And I could not believe what had happened. And I looked over at my husband and he was just smiling. He was like, I can't believe you just did that with no medication. And I was like, me either. It was like a relief, but I had not delivered her placenta yet. So they then got me on, the bed with the wheels. They picked me up and laid me on there, and they was like, okay, we're gonna take you to the delivery room so that you can deliver your placenta. Are you okay? They start asking me my name. At that point, they didn't even know who I was, okay? So my husband ended up giving them like my ID and all of that stuff so they could put me in the system and everything. And as I was being transported into the delivery room, I had started to pass out. I felt myself like blacking out. So I didn't know really what had happened. When I woke up, I was like laying down on the bed, right? And like my legs was cocked open, and I was delivering a placenta. And they had lights shining in my eyes, and they was like, hey, do you know your name? What's your name? Where are you at right now? And I was able to respond, so they knew that I was conscious still. And then, what ended up happening? Then I gave birth to the placenta and everything, and they're like, do you want to see it? I'm like, no, I don't want to see nothing. So they just like sewing me up, and I'm just like weak. All of a sudden, I started to shake like I was having a seizure. So they all panicked. They start calling everybody, and everybody started running in and stuff. They kind of pushed my husband out the way, and they started to see what was going on, and I was just losing too much blood. So they were concerned that I was gonna need a blood transfusion. So after that, they sewed me up and everything, and then I was kind of in and out of consciousness. So I'm not sure exactly what happened at that point, but I know that I was like in a very dark place. It was dark, and like I was just looking around, and I didn't know where I was and what was going on. And then all of a sudden, I woke up, and my husband was handing me a sandwich, y'all. He was handing me a sandwich, and I'm like, I took a bite of the sandwich, and I'm like, why, baby, right now? Why? He was like, I know you hungry. And I was like, oh my God, you were so funny. Like, what just happened, right? So he was explaining to me, what had happened, that I had lost a lot of blood, but I didn't need a transfusion because they gave me a shot or something, and it was able to stop my bleeding, so that I was okay. And I'm just like, where is the baby? Because I hadn't seen her. They didn't like put her on my chest or anything. No, matter of fact, yes, they did. Yes, they did initially. Yes, they did. So, but I didn't really get a good look at her at all. So I'm like, where's the baby? Where's the baby? And they're like, she's over there. She's fine. She's under the, heat and stuff. They have her. She's doing well. She's healthy. She's like 9 pounds or something. And I was like, wait a minute. She's that big? Wow. Right. So after that, the nurse came in, and they're like, we're getting ready to transfer you to, your recovery room and stuff. So I was like, okay. And they're like, how are you feeling to, get up and stuff? And I was like, I don't know if I could get up, but I certainly try. So, they helped me. get up, and I realized, that I was like completely naked. The outfit that I had on, they had to cut it off of me. So I was real sad about that. But she was like, we were able to save your slippers, but they had like baby juice all over it. So I was like, okay, yeah. And then it just stunk so bad. I was like, yeah, no, just throw it away. So as I was getting up to get in a wheelchair, I passed out again. Okay, so at this point, when I passed out, I heard, the last thing that I heard was her like on her little walkie-talkie, like calling for emergency. And they had to come in, and I'm not sure exactly everything that they did, but I was right in that dark place again, y'all. And I was like, if it just wasn't meant for me to live through this, I pray that my kids are okay, that the baby is fine, and that my husband is gonna be okay without me. Those are the thoughts that was coming through my head in this dark place. I wasn't thinking about myself and like what I was personally going through, So after that, I then opened my eyes, and I was just staring up at the wall, and it was like really, really dark in the room. And I looked over, and my husband was sitting right there on the couch, and he was like, "You up?" And I was like, "Am I alive?" That was the first question I asked, and he just started busting out laughing. He was like, "Yes, you are alive. You made it through. You had some bleeding and things, but you are fine." And they are getting ready to transport us to the recovery room. So I was like, okay. So at that point, they took the whole bed, okay? They didn't even want me to get up. They took the whole bed, and I didn't get up until it was time for me to get up and move to the other bed that was in the recovery room. So at that point was the first time that I had actually seen my baby. And I looked at her, and I was like, oh my God, you look just like your dad. You look just like your daddy. Oh my God. And I was like, yeah, you definitely got on my nerves this entire pregnancy, because she looks a lot like you, right? So we just was hugging, and we was just kind of like, okay, we did that. Yeah, we got this. So that was like overall, my experience with childbirth. And I had read so much about like Black women dying during childbirth, but I wasn't scared. I was just in a lot of pain. I wasn't scared about what was getting ready to happen. And, I was a little nervous about not having an epidural though, but it's definitely doable. I did it. I wouldn't have chose to do it like that, but it was just an experience I would never, ever, ever forget. It was crazy. It was like a movie. Like one day I'm going to write this all down and, put it in a book of some sort and publish it, okay? Because it was just crazy. And I feel like as I'm recalling the incidents, like it was probably more stuff that was going on, but the highlight of everything was crazy. And just to know that when he went back, finally when we got settled in a room and he went back to the car was still there with the door open, the flashers was still on, and nothing had happened. And I was just kind of like, maybe they knew that whoever was driving it was in an emergency situation, as to why the police didn't like get it or anything like that. But yes, the hospital here in Hawaii, they treated us so good. We ate good. They were so loving and so kind to us. They took very good care of the baby and me, really. I stayed an extra day just because I was like scared, that because my bleeding was still really, really heavy. And I just hadn't experienced that before. So I just wanted to make sure that I was good because I am anemic. So it was a lot, you guys. It was a lot, okay? And I don't know. I'm grateful that I had my husband, even though he was getting on my last nerves, he was there, you know, and he made sure that nothing happened to me, you know, while I was in and out. And he was going off on the doctors and everything else. He was like, yeah, no, we're not doing that, you know. And it was good. It was crazy. So she was, you know, born in Honolulu. She was 9 pounds and 2 ounces. That she's huge. She was a huge baby. And I did that, y'all. I pushed this girl out with no medication. Do you hear me? None. And I'm just, I don't know. I'm so just in awe with myself, you know, about just how things work out, okay? Like, I don't know. Being a mother is a beautiful thing, you know, and just being able to be blessed to have children and to experience this, you know, it just brings me a peace and a happiness that I can't really explain. But she's here and she is 8 months. She'll be, what's today? Actually, no, she just turned 9 months today. So she is 9 months today. And she is just trying to talk. She's standing up. She's trying to do all of the things, okay? So she's healthy and I am so proud. And I'm so happy that, you know, I'm still here living to tell this story, because this was crazy. Like, if I could just like create a movie, like I would probably have somebody like on the edge of their seats, because it was just crazy how it all happened. Like, it was so fast. And I felt for that janitor that night, because when my water broke everywhere, it was everywhere. Like, it was all in the elevator, all in the hallway, like all in the wheelchair. I mean, like, it was crazy, you know. And husbands, I'm gonna leave y'all with this. If your wife say they're in labor, believe them, whether they've been playing or not, because he did not believe me. He was like, stop playing. You just try to get me to come home. And I'm like, no, I'm really in labor. So thank you guys for listening to my story, y'all. I'm still living here today, and I'm blessed and I'm thankful. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed the story. So let me know if you have any questions about anything, or maybe you're getting ready to move to Hawaii and you're going to be having your baby on a military installation, and maybe you have questions about how it works and everything. Because it's different to have a baby here in Hawaii than it is on the mainland, okay? So thank you for watching and have a good one. Bye-bye.